Hi, everybody. Jill here with Illuminating Women. It's our girls' night out where we get to have a lot of fun. We've been connecting and seeing what all lives are going on, but our group is all about supporting women, empowering women so that women can live their bright, most vibrant lives that they're meant to live. And, we had to take everything virtual, which is fine. And we're still being able to connect because I really believe that when women are empowered, our families are stronger, our communities are stronger, and so is our world. This is being recorded for our YouTube channel, and you can check out all our other speakers and what we're doing, and stay tuned. Prince is still coming back up, and that will be an exciting evening too. Tonight's speaker, oh my word, when she said yes, I was just like excited because we've had Debbie speak with our group before. And if you know Debbie Haggin, you know that you're going to walk away walking on air, inspired, feeling like you can jump over the moon, because this woman has a heart of gold. She's passionate, she's raw, she's real, and she won't hide anything back. And why I asked her tonight, because right now a lot of us are going through transitions and a lot of us are learning how to pivot, and we're trying to figure things out during this pandemic. And Debbie went quiet a year before this and was like, where's Debbie? We don't see her anymore. Because when Debbie walked into the room, you knew that beautiful energy and that vibrant woman just lit us all up. So she said yes. And I asked her tonight to share, to go through some tips that I know are going to be of great value to you. So sit back, grab your glass of wine or your bubbly Pellegrino water, and sit back, take your notes, and just deliciously dive into this beautiful woman. Debbie, thank you for illuminating women tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm so thankful for this opportunity. I felt like the timing was so wonderful. Thank you for reaching out to me, Jill. That was so beautiful. When you called me and left a message for me in Messenger, one of the things that I said is, you've always seen me and I've always seen you. And so I want to say thank you for that. And that led to the conversation about transitions and living through transitions. And so I want to say that some of the most trying times of our lives is that of transitions. I believe that transitions is the best place, one of the best places we can find ourselves in. It's a place where we can get clarity and rest. It's a place that we're often forced to rest. And once we get that rest, sometimes we didn't even realize we were that exhausted, right? And so that's one of the wonderful things that can happen in a transition. Even if the transition is that of a horrible one, such as the time that I found myself in December 2014. So that was the day that my mother left this earth. And so on Wednesday, she had went to the hospital. She hadn't been feeling well for a couple of days. And we knew that she had pneumonia by that point, and the medicines weren't working. And so she was in there on Wednesday. By Thursday morning, they said, Barbara, we got everything. We got the infection. But it was at that point that my mom took her, we call her mommy. That was at that point that my mommy took her last breath. And that was something that I had no time to get ready for. Often when we go through losing a loved one, that kind of transition, there's a sickness, an illness, something like that. There was no time for any of that. My mother had never been sick. She had never been in the hospital other than when she had me, my brother, and my sister. And so from that, during the day, I was my regular self. I would handle the business of my mother's service. I would smile, or, people could see that I was not quite myself, but I was really suffering really, really badly. And at night, I wasn't able to sleep. And I ended up with just pools of dark circles from my eye to the bottom of my nose that I hid with concealer because I couldn't sleep. And so I would mourn at night, and I was myself during the daytime. Well, that transition forced me into a place of rest. It forced me into a place of rest and a place of healing. I did have a choice. I could have either lost my mind, or I could just lay there and allow God to begin to heal me. And that is what I chose to do. I had a little part-time job, and I quit that job, and I just laid there as often as I needed to, almost every day, and just felt what I felt, and the healing began. One of the things that happened is I got healed, not just from my mom's death. I got healed like backwards from the time of my mom's death, was I was about 48 at that time. I got healed all the way back to when I was like 8 years old, when I began to stuff my emotions, being that I'm an empathic person, being that I'm a person who felt so much, I never knew how to handle some of my feelings. So I started stuffing way back then. So I got healed like backwards, which was something that transition, that was a gift that I got. I got rest and I got healing. And after that, something that we often do when we get a little healing, we just kind of take off. And sometimes we take off too soon, because sometimes the healing is, you haven't gone deep enough. And I spoke like 7 times. Oh, it was glorious. I think Jill saw me speaking, and I was moving and I was shaking, and I was speaking here and speaking there. Oh boy, I just was doing it, right? So I thought. And that during that time, that's when Ferocious Gem was born. I was talking to a bunch of women at some women groups, and then I was telling a friend about these ferocious women. I had never said the word ferocious in my life. And at that point, it was like, the friend said, that sounds like a business name. And I said, like, that sounds like my business name. And I got off the phone, Ferocious Gem, Ferocious Jewel, Ferocious Gem. And that was how that was born. And during that time, my husband had been a police officer for 32 years. And he was now deciding to retire, and he also needed to get his knee had gone bad and he needed surgery. So as I'm moving and shaking and doing it and speaking, had plans to travel the world, I hear, or I feel led to sit down for 12 months. For me, it wasn't me. For me, I felt like it was God speaking to me, because I wouldn't have said sit down for 12 months because I was moving and shaking. So those transitions can offer things that we just weren't quite expecting. And when I heard it, when it came to me, felt it. Some people feel it, hear it, however, if that means anything to anybody else. But when I heard it, I responded back, okay, I'll sit for 6 to 12 months. I didn't get an answer to that. I also was talking to God, like, yeah, 6 months, that should be good. I'll give him that time, and then off back I go. And I was thinking to myself, what about the time that I'm going to lose? And what I felt in my spirit is all time is in his hands. You need to go and be with your husband at this time. Well, one of the wonderful things that happened is we rode bikes from his. I thought we were going to get those bicycles that you sit on the floor. That's the kind that they talk about that you need. I forgot the name of them, the ones where you're sitting low. And I said, babe, we're going to get these bikes and I'll ride with you. He said, no, we're going to get real bikes. So we went and got these wonderful bikes. and like sort of Cadillac bikes, you know. And my husband laughed because I looked, you know, I was riding the bike and he hadn't seen me ride in years. So it was funny. So we rode in the rain. We would ride a mile and then we would go get ice cream. You know, we would ride some more, and then the next day I'd say, okay, I need another treat. So anyways, we got all the way up to 22 miles by the end of that summer. And it was beautiful. And I want to say it was about 6 months or so, I would feel anxiousness. Like off and on, I would feel anxiousness because I was so used to me driving my life, me doing this, me going after that. I know that some of you can understand that. Me, got to make it happen. This is what I'm doing, okay? And so I remember at about 6 months, I was feeling anxious. And I remember here trying to do something, somebody asked me to speak or something, and I remember trying to accept it, and I remember the few things that I tried to do would not work out. And I didn't hear it, but I heard it, like, you know, you were told to sit your butt down for 12 months. And I want to say that at the 8th month, I was in my bathroom. At this point, I had this moment of peace. I had a moment of joy. I had a moment, I felt peace and joy and God's grace like I had never felt before. I said to myself, I knew that it had nothing to do with any piece of jewelry that I'd sold. It had nothing to do with that I had this fantastic time speaking and everybody responded well. It had nothing to do with any place that I had gone. It simply had to do with the fact that I felt peace. And at that moment in that transition, I knew that all was well. It was all was well, whether I had done anything or not. All was well just because of how I was born. Just because, not linked to anything, but just because I'm special, as each and every one of us are special. So that transition gave me the gift of time and reconnection. It was at the end of 2019. I was going to make a declaration. And I said, I'm working my business. I'm doing wonderful. I began to hit where, you know, sometimes it's time to go up a notch. And I began to hit that snag. And sometimes you want to go and sit down. Sometimes you want to say it's not working. Sometimes you think, I don't know what to do. It's not the same as when I started Ferocious Gym a year ago, and I had the fire under me and things were just popping and people were just buying. But what I found out is during those times, that's the time to really get some more clarity, really look at what do I need to do to go to the next level. So I asked myself a question. I said, do my actions line up with my beliefs? So what I say, I believe. Oh, I'm a special woman. What you say to other women. Oh, you can do it, girl. Hey, the sky is the limit. You were here for a reason. All these things that we say to our friends or to ourselves. Do your actions line up with it? Was I getting up early enough? Was I giving my all in my business? Was I doing just enough? And I realized the answer was no. I realized that at that point, you want to throw up this much and expect for a blessing to happen. But no, you got to give it your all. So at the end of 2019, I made a declaration. I said, I am going to play full out. I'm not waiting. I did a post about it and everything, you guys. I said, I'm not waiting until 2020. This was like December. I said, I'm not waiting. I'm going to play full out now. I'm going to play full out. I did a whole speech about it, right? So then COVID happened. Okay. So before that, I had lined up. I got all my stuff ready. I took all my pictures. I did brand new designs for my jewelry, and I was on fire, right? And then COVID happened. And I was like, well, wow, okay, what am I gonna do? So for 3 weeks or so, I was really sad, being empathic, full of empathy. I call it the gift of empathy that I am. I could feel my pain and I could feel the pain of others. If I went to the store and people were scared to look at you at first, I could see the fear in people's eyes, and that would just hurt and dig at me. And I felt, and so if you know me, you know I talk a lot. I wasn't talking a lot at that time when we first got the notice. I was very, very quiet. A friend of mine calls it self-preservation. I turtled in when a lot is going on, like a lot of us do. And I decided after about 3 weeks or so that this had to stop, that I was going to do something that I call having a dream session with God. Somebody else might say they have a dream session where they just sit with themselves. For me, I call it having a dream session with God. And the reason why I call it that is because from my belief is there's no limits to God. So my thoughts are limit. I have limits. I can do this under this. This box is right here. So I can do this and I can see this. I can go this far if I do this, but then I can't go this far because I haven't done that, right? So I stood in my kitchen. It was a perfect time. It was quiet. No one was around. I looked towards my family room and I said, okay, come on, God, let's have this dream session. And I stood there and I said, God, what is it that you want to say to me during this time? And what can I do with in the physical? Like, what can I do during this time? So I sat for a moment. I felt like I had heard some things in my spirit. And one of the things that I was reminded of was the fact that I had wanted to body butter. It's something I had been playing with, something I had been trying with. I had like 30 essential oils. And my husband would say, what are you doing now, right? Because I'm always just trying stuff. So what are you doing now? But it was my little secret, okay? So at that point, as soon as I was standing there, I saw a vision of my whole living room filled with packing supplies and boxes and butter, and immediately fear fled in, immediately. And the questions were, oh my gosh, what am I thinking? Oh my gosh, I want to still travel. I'm too old. I'm 53 years old. It's too late for me to be starting something else. The Ferocious Gem Jewelry is doing fine. Even though I know it can do better, it's doing fine. And also, it's just going to be just too much. Look at this. Now, it just happened to be where I was standing. That warehouse that I saw, those packing supplies in that area I saw could have been in my family room. It could have been in my garage or in my studio where I'm at now. But that was what I saw. And as I saw that fear, it reminded me of when you see fear, how you're supposed to face it, not run from it. So I had some questions that I felt like God put in my spirit the last year or so. And one of them is, what do you want to do more The answer to that was yes. Is there more things that you want to buy or to buy outside of your household money, i.e. my husband's money? Okay. So is there more things you want to buy or do, like this house on the lake that I want to do, that I have a goal to do, that my husband said I'm done with the last house. This was his 4th house. This was my 3rd house. He says, I don't want a house on the lake. So I decided I want a house on the lake. And if I want a house on the lake, that's not necessarily attached to whether he wants a house on the lake or not. Because when I come to him with the money, he's going to say, okay. Like, you know how we can do, ladies. And then the last thing was, are there more people that you need to reach? So with those things, that's like those questions, the answer to those were yes. So I knew right then and there that I was afraid. And even though I was afraid, I knew right then and there that I had to move anyways, because I had more things to do. I had more people to reach. I hadn't done everything that God called me to do. So I had to be bold. I had to stand on the things that I knew that I was called to do. I had to say yes. I had to say yes to me. And I said right then and there, as I stood in that kitchen, I said, God, I'm afraid, but I know you got me. I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. And right there, I made that decision. As I said that, the fear began to dissipate. The fear began to go down. It didn't go away, because I found that when we get to those places of fear like that, it's really a good place in regards to throwing caution to the wind, right? Instead of us being so safe all the time, to just throw caution to the wind and allow some of those other dreams. You may already have the dream job. You may already be making the money you want to make. You may already be doing some of the things you want to do. But sometimes we can go deeper. Sometimes we can go deeper. Sometimes we can reach more. Sometimes we can live a life of legacy that people talk about, and they remember how your life touched their life. I want to say, here it is 3 months later, and it's almost 200 body butter sold. My house is starting to look like the vision that I saw. I'm spread throughout. I am here inside my studio. So there's things in here, but my jewelry was already in here. It's a little bit of butter in there behind me. But I have packing supplies in different corners. I have enough to fill a small warehouse right now. And so I have a few questions for you. What do you need healing from? What do you need healing from? Whether it's something personal, something deep down, something from a childhood. Somebody said to you, whether it's something race related, whether it's with the George Floyd, seeing that, whether it's healing from that, to transition from that. What do you need healing from? What I found about healing, it allows us to go deeper into why we're here. So if it's touched you, whatever the situation is, maybe that's a call for you to do something about it. You know? So, secondly, what do you do? What do you want to do? What private things, what private dreams do you have? Things that you've never told anybody. Those private things, like my butter, I wanted to do it, but I didn't tell anybody. You wanted to start a soup kitchen, perhaps. You wanted to feed the homeless. You wanted to start a maybe where you do tutoring for children. That's that higher calling. That's not just about you. It's about reaching and touching the lives of others. What's that thing, that secret thing that you want to do? Or what's that thing that you take for granted? It's the thing that you're so good at that you don't even realize that it's a gift. You don't even realize that it's a gift and a treasure to somebody else. It's just easy for you. And you're something else. What is that thing? What is that thing? That you just do it with your eyes closed. It's the thing that people always call you about. You're a problem solver. You bring people together. You know how to elevate a situation. What's that thing? When there's a room, when you're in a room and something happens, how do you show up? It's that way. We're like, you know what? We're going to call Jill because she knows how to bring people together. What's that thing? Sometimes you need to look at that a little deeper because I don't think it's a coincidence. Okay. Now, what direction should you take? What does that look like? What I know for sure is that trust will open this door. And what I also know is that a lot of strong ego women that are on here right now have trust is very difficult for them. I know for me it was. I didn't know that I had a trust issue. Things just always kind of happened for me. I didn't know I had a trust issue. I didn't realize that I did. But some of the greatest victories that I've had in my life is when I ask the questions, what's next? One of the things that my mom said, my beloved mother said, she said, keep a teachable spirit. Keep a teachable spirit. That's such a beautiful place to be in. A place where, you know what? I don't know what to do next. It's kind of scary, but it's where magic happens. Magic happens when you ask the question, what do I do next? When you ask for guidance, like for me, that's with God. God, what do I do next? When I started doing that, I started seeing more miracles in my life. Instead of me controlling everything. I didn't know I was controlling. I was like, come on, God, let's go. I didn't know. I didn't know that I really hadn't asked for direction. So I want to ask you, are you ready? Are you ready to say yes? Are you ready? Are you ready to just free fall? Are you ready to free fall? What does that look like? I had a friend that we were talking, and I said, how do you do that? I said, you know, when you're standing and if you were to just collapse to the floor, I said, sounds kind of crazy because most of the time we're not going to do that, right? But that's what it looks like. You know, when you're standing there and somebody's behind you and you have to trust them and you have to fall back, that's what that looks like. Free fall. Trust. Ask the questions and trust that thing that's been talking to you all this time. Trust it and go for it. Baby steps, building slowly and slowly. So if you're ready to say yes, if you're ready to find out what you can learn in this time of transition, if you're ready to go higher, say yes. Say yes. Be bold, because people are waiting on you. They're waiting for you. I found out that I was a little bit selfish. I didn't understand that me not wanting to stand up to all the things that God had called me in this world to do. I wanted to do some of the things that I wanted to do first. But after I started realizing that we are one puzzle piece to a giant puzzle, we are all linked together. I need you. I need you, sisters. I need you. I need you. I need you to say yes to that higher calling on your life. I need you. And others need you too. They're waiting. They're waiting just for you, because there's things that you can do that no one else can do. And I want to say I love you, and I thank you so much for listening. And I just can't wait to get to know each and every one of you better. And so I want to say, take advantage of this time of transition. Don't look at it as a negative thing. Look at it as what I can learn. Because I learned the worst transition I went through was my mom's death. And I came out of that amazing. I came out of that like she had passed the baton to me. So let's rise up, sisters. Let's rise up. Let's rise up. Let's be about that business. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh, Debbie! I'm watching everybody up here. You should see the chat. And people are just like, yes, they're just loving this. Oh, you filled us up. So I'm going to stop this recording so that we can have private conversation here. And Debbie, from watching you speak before you took this time to watching you speak tonight, sister, I can tell there's others here who will all vouch. Whoa, that is a transition. And the juice and the meat and that keeping a teachable spirit, your mother's legacy carrying on. And you with us tonight. Oh, everybody is just like, you will read the chats. So Debbie, if somebody wants to reach out to you, and I just had to write the word butter, because there's something about butter that is just so needed right now. I mean, butter is smooth and soft and, you know, all those things. So if somebody wants to find you, how can they find you? Oh, you're muted, sweetie.
There we go. You can find me at ferociousgym.com. Ferociousgym.com.
Well, Debbie, I want to thank you for blessing us this evening. The rest of us are going to stick on this call and have some sister time just to kind of, you know, ask you some questions and dive a little deeper. And I want to thank everybody who came and just participated. And I hope you are inspired, lifted up, and you are living your true passion. You are truly living your calling, just what Debbie talked about tonight, because I love the fact that you said, because others are looking for you and counting on you to do that. And that makes it such the community that we so need. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording, and Debbie, bless you. Mwah. Love you to pieces. Thank you. And everybody, take good care of yourself, and blessings. Bye-bye.